is Wednesday. RawMikeRichards.com. Broadcasting live from 234 King Street East, downtown Toronto, out of the Pacific Junction Hotel on what is a strangely muggy day in September. It's been that way since we got into this month. It's warmer now than it was during the summer.
Yeah, it's brutal. I'm not a big fan of this right now.
And my son, who's out in Calgary, Calgary's had an unbelievable summer. Like I don't remember scorching hot summers in Calgary for whatever reason. And now their weather's changed. Saw someone in the lovely town of Edmonton. A snow shower. Snow. Already. Edmonton. Well, at least you'll have your hockey team to fall back on, and I think it doesn't matter how shit your weather's going to get. If you got a team like they've got, and they got some pretty high hopes, maybe it doesn't matter. Also coming up on today's show, Justin Bourne, the senior NHL columnist with The Athletic. He's the former video coach for the Toronto Marlies. The son-in-law of Clark Gillies. He's had a pretty interesting hockey path himself. I think in some ways there was no way that hockey at some level was not going to be in this guy's blood. He's going to join us. We'll talk Leafs. They, if you're looking at scoreboards, I don't think anyone is, Dave. They lose again to the Senators. How much you're reading into that is probably zero, unless you're looking at sort of the progression of what Mike Babcock believes that he has. I think as a league, and we've seen it kind of early, they're just trying to figure out the rules, including the slashing, Dave. Like the slashing seems to be a big part of it. It's just going to be really difficult, and I don't know what I equate it to, but you know when we talked to Clark Judge yesterday about how NCAA football is called, it's really tight. So my question is just how, I don't even know if the word's flexible, because when you make a rule change in hockey, or in any sport for that matter, but let's just stick with hockey. Like, Dave, you got to be consistent the whole time. And I think that's the pressure really. It's not so much in the players understanding the rule itself. It's for all those referees to make sure each and every game, especially early, that they're all consistent with the way it's called, and that's the hardest part.
Yeah, it really is. I would be, well, I'll be honest with you, I'd be surprised if what we're seeing here in these first two exhibition games for the Toronto Maple Leafs in September is the same way this game is called in January. I could be wrong. I don't think I am, but that's the suspicious part. I have a feeling at the end of this preseason, there's going to be a board of governors meetings, and they're going to say, "Okay, calm down. Let's not overdo this face-off thing." And I just got this feeling that there's a lot of hate going on for it, especially from the players' point of view.
I don't disagree. Like, for instance, so we'll leave the face-off thing alone because, again, I think they've made a huge mistake doing what they're doing. When it comes to hacking, let's say hacking.
Yep.
But if you're skating down, I'm following. Now, I know that in the old days, like guys used to go to the one hand, just kind of have that. That's gone because as soon as that one hand comes off, you're going to get it. Like and they understand that, so that's under control. But if I've got two hands on the stick, and I'm giving you that, sort of that tap, letting you know I'm there. You're not going to hook. You're not going to pull. But it's not uncommon that I'm around there, and I'm just letting you know that I'm there.
Sure.
Is that going to be called?
Yes.
See, that's going to be really tough.
And everybody does that. Everybody.
Well, it's if you're playing basketball and you've got your back to me, I'm probably putting my hand at some point. Like I'm going to put my hand on your back if I'm playing D.
Yeah.
If they started to say, we don't want so much the hand touching now. You know what I mean? Because how do you? So now, like, it becomes a different way of trying to stop a guy. So he's just going to skate by Dave. Like he literally, he can't be touched. This is hockey.
Yeah.
Like this isn't, when do they introduce hitting now? What age are you now? Is
12?
It 12? I think it's 12.
Yeah.
I think it's 12. Russell, that was only a couple of years ago for you. Was it 12? Is it? Because
I was still part of the age group that there was hitting all. Like I didn't play at those levels when I was younger, but when I was 8, there was hitting at the hitting levels. It wasn't until like I got to be around like 14, 15 that they changed the rules about hitting.
Is there any hitting in the Ryerson Intramuros?
There's body contact. There's no body checking.
I bet you it gets pretty heated.
Oh.
Because
You slash a lot of people. You seem like the kind of guy that gives
Are you-
stick on your ribs.
Yeah,
area.
are you weaselly? Because I think you could be a weasel.
I
Like
think
when guys aren't
my-
looking and stuff.
the whole time I played hockey, I played
Your career?
like guys like Gallagher and just like trying
He models
small
his game
guys
after
trying
Brendan
to,
Gallagher.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's wow.
And I hate Brendan
and,
Gallagher.
and it's
great.
he's kind of turned out the same way.
You're a Kessler kind of guy, like
yeah.
right in the nuts, like that kind of stuff, and you're like, I don't know what's going on. Why are you talking like that? Oh, it's going to be. I'm telling you, you can see already. Just now, cheap hacks and stuff like that. But see, nobody likes that, Dave. I mean, no one's for the game. We just mentioned guys like Kessler. Anyone who thinks they can get away with that cheap shot or the hack to the ankles, that's really hard to do, and really. You know, do good players do it, or like Sidney Crosby? Well, we know Sidney Crosby will do it. We saw the hack on the hand, but I think, you know, if you're looking at rule changes, I kind of get the hacking part. I just don't get the face-off part.
Yeah. No.
Like,
and that's you know what? That's something we'll talk with Bourne coming up in about 25 minutes. But it's a major adjustment. I know. Players have cheated in the past
Because
and that's why
you
this
weren't
comes-
a center.
Yeah, I was.
Oh, you were a
Yeah.
center. Okay.
Players have cheated in the past, and you know, I kind of agree with that. But I guess if they straighten them out a little bit more, I could understand that part. But they are taking it to the massive extreme.
I think it's an
of don't-
overreaction.
It completely is. There's so many other things to worry about in the NHL. Headshots. That maybe you shouldn't be worried about a face-off as much.
So face it. So you're a centerman. You know you're coming in. The other guy's not coming in and just putting his stick down at the higher levels of hockey.
Correct.
That's just not going to happen.
Yep.
So you know it's a little bit of the almost like a lacrosse-like scenario, right? And you just hope. And again, it goes back to officiating. If the guy takes too long or if he's too finicky, that's really hard even on the draw, even for guys who are really good at it. So to me, it's like, okay, if this is the route we're going, then when that ref is sitting and getting set to drop that puck, don't be dicking around. Like that puck's got to go down because those guys are adjusting themselves. I mean, it's not Pee Wee House League. These guys are going in because if you're what's a top guy? 70-something%? Let's just say in the league,
Sure.
you're 70-something. That immediately could be a huge advantage if your guy's that good. Back to the point. And look, there's going to be a lot of power plays this year. We're looking at the chance for a goal, so they can't mess around with it. But I think when you're too busy doing that and you're throwing guys out and adding to more power plays, I don't know if it's going to be great for the league. And as you said, I don't know how they pump the brakes on that a little bit. But don't you think that's going to look bad too if they look at it and go, this isn't quite working?
No.
Yeah, no shit. We can see it now.
You don't say. After 24 hours, they should have discovered this, or at least the red light should be going off. Going okay. When the world watches us on October the 4th or whenever it is, there better not be 17 face-off penalties that first night when everybody kind of trots their best roster off.
Yeah.
It's picture day in the NHL, right? Everybody's
Absolutely it
smiling,
is.
happy, it's ready to go.
Everyone's got a chance.
Absolutely.
There's Carolina and their fans are all Dumas and Skeeter and the crowd, and they're all ready to go. And trust me, those crowds south of the border, they're not going to be big on this either.
Nope.
Anything's going to slow that game down.
What's that
game is
penalty
not-
for?
yeah.
What's that penalty for? They didn't even drop the puck.
Here's a tweet live in from our good friend Hudson. Hud says, an apology to roast beef from Hud. Click for the full picture. It's a whole apology. I realize I called you beef stew.
No,
That's right now.
no. Don't you apologize. Don't. You know what? Because of you saying beef stew, I've completely
He's
changed what I actually
Yeah.
call them.
So now it's just any form of beef. If you want to look good for the ladies during that Ryerson intramural league, then that's what goes on the back of the
Yeah.
jersey. By the way,
Beef stew.
yeah.
Chunky beef.
That's what you are.
Roast beef.
Yeah. That's
Anything
exactly what
beef.
you are.
Oh, look who joins us. It's Greg McIsaac.
Greg McIsaac, well, does he have?
Holy smokes.
Does he have a food package for us, or is there extra? What's he got going on over
Ah.
there? He's got a lot of stuff happening.
We should bring him in here. Say hi.
Do you want?
Yeah.
But I don't
Greg,
know.
you have a second? Come on up.
Greg McIsaac, a very busy man, obviously, just
Yep.
wandering the streets with bags of toys for the children. I don't know why he's doing that. Once again, Justin
hey.
Bourne going to join us probably in about 20 minutes here
Thank you, sir.
with Draft Kings gift bags. Gregor, how you doing, buddy?
Bring up the mic
Yeah,
here
bring
to
up the mic. Let's-
roast beef, and come sit beside me, Gregor. Or come stand beside me,
Yeah.
because you standing is about me sitting. So that's
Yeah.
I am usually off screen, guys, as you guys know.
Oh.
Thanks for being good friends for DraftKings. So
How-
I wanted you to have
thank you,
some
thank
nice
you.
gear.
Now, all of a sudden, that $1 billion perfect
I missed
season.
out on that one. I am working today.
I got to tell you, that became a lot harder this season. I mean, is who's playing, who's not playing, who's sulking, who's pouting on the sidelines. Trying to get that this year, man, that became really difficult.
Yeah, you never know what's going to happen. And yeah, I had Zeke in my pool, and yeah,
Oh my God, yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
I
Well,
had good vision for him.
you're a busy man. You're dropping off the gift bags. Things are good for you. You're
Yeah, all good. Yeah, I miss
Good
working
stuff.
with you guys, though.
Yeah.
This is nice. Congratulations on all your success.
Yeah,
agree.
it's starting to
awesome.
move now.
Nice
Yeah.
seeing
I
you.
love,
Yeah.
love watching. The following is growing, so the Richards Army is a real movement.
And we Greg McIsaac, by the way, is well, you were the first guy I met when TSN was good.
Yeah, I was a former.
Is that what we're saying right now?
Yes,
Yeah.
and that was my messaging when I
Yeah,
was the communications
yeah.
director there. So,
And all of a sudden, I think there's just gerbils, and I don't know what they have upstairs. Maybe there's a robot and a vacuum cleaner. I don't know what's running that place now, but boy, we sure had a great time in that. I would say the first 3
I'm
years.
sure you would have saw the ratings. Their last ratings.
We did.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, we did.
My
I think
neck,
it speaks for itself too. Yeah.
my neck. I had whiplash from looking that far down, Greg. I've never seen. It was like
We love our old
Beyonce's.
friends at TSN.
It was like Beyonce's bank account. I've never seen that many zeros before. I mean, unbelievable. Tremendous job. The TV people I still like, though.
Yes.
The TV people I got. In fact,
Everybody there is amazing.
wasn't Dunnigan, isn't Matty going to try to get down, I think?
I've been going back and forth
Yeah.
with Matt on text, and he's trying to work something out. Because as you know, Greg, with the CFL staff, they fly in and out because Maddie's from Texas, and you know what? We're hoping to have him on. I'm thinking it's more of an October thing, but that might be good
Dwayne
because
Ford in here. He's down.
that
the
you know
street,
what
yeah.
that would be a very good
Dwayne's down
idea.
here?
Yeah, he's
Dwayne's just in Hamilton, I think. Hamilton, Burlington area.
Mississauga, yeah.
Mississauga,
Okay,
sure.
well,
He's west. He's
And
west.
Sherry's great too.
Yeah.
She
There
was
you
also
go.
part of that exit package, so Sherry's always.
We're
She's got
talking
lots
about
to
these.
say.
Isn't that nice? This is the industry, though, and it doesn't really matter what company you're talking about. You can work for ESPN. You're still talking the same
Yeah.
thing. I mean, that's just
It's-
They've
the
got
sad
their own,
truth.
it is. Well, we're going to talk to. I mean, how many guys from the Athletic now, formerly of other newspapers or
Yeah,
magazines?
no, that's awesome. That's an interesting endeavor. So yeah, are you subscribing?
No, because there's a lot of reading involved, and I got to
Yeah.
be honest, that's not my thing.
It's headlines.
It's-
Headlines. are
it's-
great.
it's not-
long form.
You know, it's like, what are they talking about?
We got Justin Bourne coming in about 15 minutes. We're calling him, and of course, him being the son of Bob Bourne of the New York Islanders. He's a NHL columnist for the Athletic. So we're talking some Leafs today because 'tis the season. A couple games
Yeah.
under their belt, and it's nice to have hockey, even though. The weather outside, man. You must be hot in
I
that.
know.
I'm hot in these
wearing
shorts.
Wearing a shirt today. Got to look the part. And
Yeah.
That's true.
See, that's good because the image of you, I mean, just the optics are that you're working very hard. You're sweating. You're on the street. You've got DraftKings on it.
it's all about PR spin.
Yeah, I was gonna
As
say-
long as it looks the part.
Greg McIsaac's the hardest working man I've ever seen.
So what's on your schedule today, Greg?
Yeah,
Before
what are we
say
doing?
bye?
Got some couple things I'm working on. Working with Team Snap. They're kind of a fun group out of Boulder, Colorado. Got a couple meetings with DraftKings today. They got a few launching their NHL products soon, so I'll be bugging you guys about that.
Oh, please do.
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
So,
When you bug us, it's not considered a bug on our end. You know that, right?
It's
Like
great.
I welcome Greg McIsaac email because I know it's probably going to be something good. So never forget about us.
I got a couple things for you. So I will bring that to you shortly. So.
Awesome.
Greg McIsaac.
Thank
Get
you.
back to talking about sports.
There you
We'll
go.
talk about it. So,
Thank you, sir.
See you guys.
All right.
Have a nice
Gregor,
day.
thanks, buddy.
Take care, man.
You take care. Thanks
Glad
so
you're
much.
well, Mike.
Yep, very good. Thanks, Greg. I appreciate that.
Awesome. Thank
Greg
you, sir.
McIsaac of many things, including our good friends at DraftKings, and of course.
Did you
when-
play that billion? You never played that $1 billion. I played the $1 billion challenge.
Are you?
I didn't win the $1
Everybody's
billion.
I was going to say. It's like,
Surprisingly enough, Kirk Cousins did nothing for me. So.
oh, that's who you're.
Well, the thing is, you have to manage a salary cap with DraftKings, right? So it's like, okay, I could take Ezekiel Elliott at the running back position, but because he's pricey, because he's one of the best running backs in the league, you have to modify by taking maybe a tier 2 quarterback or a tier 2 tight end or a secondary receiver or something like that. So you have to look for deals if you're going to pick a high-end type of player. And that's like that with the CFL, the NHL. You know, you can't stack your NHL roster with Matthews, Kane, Ben, Sagan, McDavid, and then you have no money for defense or goaltending. So that's just the way that works.
You know, there's some teams of the last couple of years in the NHL who built their team exactly like what you just said. But what about the defense and goaltending?
We don't have any.
Yes. Hello, Edmonton. Right. The guy with the pads. Right. See, that's the thing. You know, I'm gonna play a little clip of Wayne Gretzky here.
Okay.
And when you sit there and talk about the possibilities of an Edmonton Oiler Maple Leaf final, people are like, okay, come on. I said, look, I have no skin in either of those games, and as you know, when I talk about skin in the game, it's basically on gambling. I really don't sit there, and even as a kid, that the Leafs were important. My uncle was the trainer of the team. I mean, the Leafs were big to me. But now, and being in this profession, it's maybe I don't have that emotional attachment. But if I'm looking at it, literally as a third party on the outside looking in, then who do I think has the possibility in the next couple of years? Is it that unrealistic that you would think that the two teams who have drafted with some of the best players on the planet, and looking sort of how both of the franchises have been built over the last couple of years, including when you had to tank, how you drafted, some of the free agents you picked up. I mean, maybe you're only a player or two away. I still think probably when we talk to Justin Bourne, we'll talk about goaltending. But for the great one, he's kind of on board too when he was asked, what do you think about a Stanley Cup final with the Maple Leafs and the Edmonton Oilers?
Well, I think that two cities, the two organizations sort of parallel. Both teams that a couple of years ago had a tough time, and they've rebuilt their whole system, the whole team, the whole organization. And I think both teams are really good young teams with good coaching staffs in both organizations, good general managers in both organizations. And I hope to see one day that we have an Edmonton-Toronto Stanley Cup final. I think it'd be great for Canada, it'd be great for Edmonton, and hopefully it'd be great for Toronto.
That's Wayne Gretzky, courtesy of, I believe it was TSN. I'm not sure, it was Sports Center, I think, ran that.
Sure.
And maybe probably the NHL. Who knows? Who knows? But we're just going to say it anyway. But there's Wayne Gretzky talking about that. And Dave, I think from an engagement standpoint, now south of the border for the NHL head office, what does that mean? Like, you're talking about no American teams.
Yeah, I know.
Edmonton is, what, a million people?
Maybe.
Yeah. The GTA is huge, and obviously the biggest in this country.
And they do have a following across the world, which is great. But
TV-wise, are they zeros then?
You know what? They will get a little bit of a bump in the States because of the Toronto Maple Leafs, but not the bump the NHL would want. The NHL, if they could sit there and go, okay, who do we want ratings-wise? They want the Chicago Blackhawks against the New York Rangers.
Yeah.
That's what they want. That's ideal what they want.
Do you not think that Los Angeles, they wouldn't want L.A., New York?
I think they would love L.A., New York, just geographically speaking. But as far as the popularity, the Blackhawks would draw more numbers.
Right.
Even though you've kind of killed the western part of, well, almost the continent, right? Because when you look at it, Chicago's about as central as you get when you look at the map of North America. So numbers wise, yeah, and that's why when you get the release of the NBC rivalry night out of Wednesdays, a lot of Blackhawks, a lot of Bruins, a lot of Rangers, not so many Canadian-based teams. I think the Maple Leafs have been on it once, but that is a rarity. But they definitely, because the Edmonton parallel in the States would be like the Florida Panthers or the Tampa Bay Lightning.
Yeah, and I think they'd probably even take Tampa Bay over the Panthers. I mean, that's just
they would. Yeah, in this scenario, absolutely.
It's got to be dashes. You're watching rawmike.com, or you're listening on iTunes, Google Play, perhaps it's TuneIn. We appreciate that. We've got Justin Bourne, former video coach for the Marlies, but he's just so ingrained in the sport of hockey, probably since he was born. No pun intended. He is a Bourne, as in Bob Bourne, Clark Gillies. Like, think about that, though. So
That family, eh?
So Bob Bourne and Gillies are teammates.
Teammates, correct.
And his son marries his daughter.
Yeah. That's exactly it.
Either it's a dream come true, or it's like, hey, did you hear what's going on? No. My son's dating your daughter. Like, I don't know if the look on Clark's face is, all right. Like, what is that like? Because when he comes on, I have to ask him that question.
I would too.
Because even if they're buddies, so okay, no, this would be weird. I said,
This would be really weird.
So I
know where you're
said,
gonna go
hey,
with
Jordan's seen Marissa. Okay, number one, Jordan's 26, and Marissa is
4.
Yeah, we're not Kentucky. He's not Jerry. This isn't Jerry Lee Lewis time. And it would seem like they were related anyway. It's like it's all wrong. But completely different if I end up with Vicky. I don't think there's anything weird or wrong about that at all.
That's fine. I think that's probably the most natural path we could talk about.
Come on. Yeah, so Iferistopoli. I'm throwing the Greek out there. Come on, Vic. I told you I'd name the boat after you. If I could get a boat. I got to get a boat. I have to be a boat guy.
I think a boat is necessary.
I think a boat is necessary. Let's talk briefly before we get to Justin. I do want to throw in some Major League Baseball stuff here, and some of it. The Cubs at one point over the season, Dave, I'm looking at them and thought, I don't know if they're going to turn it around. I don't know if the Cubs are going to get at it. Well, Arrieta's going to start Thursday and 2 more times before the playoffs, and the Cubs have turned it around. I just don't know in this environment if I'm looking at them like that unbelievable playoff and unbelievable World Series they had last year. And I'm talking even the engaging part of it as a baseball fan. But the Cubs certainly have turned it around. I just don't know with what's coming out of the American League if it really matters.
No, I don't think it does either. It's almost like the Cubs are coming out as a default team. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of like you're entering the playoffs on a whimper. It's funny how the Milwaukee Brewers, who've been one of the best stories in the National League, are so close, only 3.5 games back, and that is a lot at this stage.
Yeah.
And according to our numbers at ESPN, it's a 24% chance of actually.
I love those numbers, by the way, because some of them earlier it's like 0.2. Holy shit! It's May the 9th. Like, take it easy.
No, that's exactly it. But the Cubs, you sit there and you go, man, it's a nice roster, but they're playing against like the Pittsburghs of the Central, the Cincinnati Reds of the Central, even the Cardinals. I'm sorry, but the Cardinals are not that good this year.
No way.
They're not.
And talk to a Cardinals
fans,
they're not. And look, you just mentioned 2 of the cities. Of the 3 cities, I think, in North America that are baseball. So I still say Cincinnati, even though they've got NFL, Cincinnati, St. Louis, and Milwaukee.
Yes.
Those have to be the 3 best. Not that, I mean, guys from Boston and Chicago, but I'm saying what's first. Boston can take, look, it's an embarrassment of riches when you think about a Boston sports fan. Look at every single team they have. Now, look, I don't know much about the MLS, but I'm sure the New England, what do they call it?
Revolution.
The Revolution. I'm sorry. This is not. I can tell you Bundesliga. I know who Borussia Dortmund is. I can talk about Bayern Munich. I don't know the Revolution, but they're probably not terrible either. I don't know. Roast beef? Are you into this kind of stuff? Like, all I know is that the TFC literally is the best team in MLS.
They are.
I like MLS. I actually don't know where New England is in the standings right now, but
it's
don't
in the state
think
of
it's
New England.
that high.
No, I think for the TFC, I think for the Reds, the next game, Javinko's not playing.
Yeah, Montreal.
Next game is tonight.
In Altidore, I don't think he's playing either, is he? I think they're both out.
That's okay because they're not playing a very good team.
Well, I just don't. I mean, and again, MLS is something that I do not profess to know a whole bunch about. But I will say, for what TFC has done in this town, oh my God, what a turn! Like, it really is remarkable. Where they've gone from a lot of heartbreak, a lot of disappointment to their fans, to This is a dream come true.
Yeah.
Dream come true.
So right now, the New England Revolution, for all the Revs fans out there, as what they're known as, they're 8th place in the Eastern Conference out of 11 teams with a record of 10 wins, 5 draws, 14 losses. They will not be making the postseason. Montreal is just a point ahead of them at 36 points. The Toronto FC team has 62 points and leads the conference, leads the entire MLS. And for everybody wondering at home, from a betting standpoint, at the start of the year, I got a futures bet on Atlanta United.
You did.
At 110-1. They're currently in 4th place. I'm just saying.
That's why sometimes it's just worth a shot. The futures is, why not?
110-1. I bought on that. They're 4th place. They will be part of the postseason. And as they say, sometimes anything can happen in the postseason.
You know, you look at futures. There was a time where, was it the first time that Chicago group wins a Stanley Cup? But to me, they were just so much better than everybody else. And they were giving 3-1 odds.
Mm-hmm.
If you're talking horse racing, if you're talking about that kind of handicapping, a favorite's never going to be three times your money.
No.
So I was saying all the time, you put $8,000 on that. That's $24,000. $24,000. And then they win. People go, did you win $24,000? No. Did you put money on it? No. Well, what was all that 24? I said, but if you did, if you're Mayweather, you're putting $100,000 in. That's $300,000 if you're Floyd. Here's something. Speaking of money, if you're the Angels and they have that Sherman Williams can,
okay,
right? So if you hit a home run, so an Angels home run in the can, as they call it. So it's, I don't know if it's inflated or I don't know what that big thing is out there with the palm trees and the waterfalls, or what do they have out there? I mean, give the Angels something, for God's sakes. So Justin Upton crushes a solo home run, like straight away, because it's basically straight away center, right? It's right there. It goes in the can, but it bounces. It is for the Angels Baseball Foundation. So why would you not do that? Mm-hmm. So it bounces in. So courtesy and property of Major League Baseball and Major League Baseball Advanced Media, here's the home run in the can that didn't count.
Obviously over for Jeter. That ball is drilled to left. And Upton has left the yard. No doubt about it. Woo! Big fly off Cody Allen.
And in.
32nd of the year for Justin Upton.
That go to the can? I think it hit the Sherwin-Williams can, didn't it?
No, it bounced and went in.
And Upton painted with that one.
It hit in front of the can, and then it went in it.
And then it went in.
Yeah, so give the money to the kids.
Exactly.
It's your own foundation, Dave. How cheap are you going to look and go, no, there was a bounce.
Yeah, they look stupid, even from a PR standpoint.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, where am I not going to buy my next gallon of paint from? Da-da!
Yeah, I don't know. I don't get that at all. Just before we get to Justin Bourne, I wonder how often he gets the Jason Bourne thing. Like, what are the odds, right?
We'll ask him.
Well, you ask.
Hey, is this the Bourne supremacy?
Yeah, you ask.
Is this the Bourne legacy?
Yeah, is this the legacy call or the supremacy call? Do you like those movies? I watch them. Because there's a lot of good violence in it.
There's a lot of, and you know what? Matt Damon is kind of cool in them.
He is. Like there's some fight scenes.
Just
that
being honest.
one where they're like in Morocco or something, and they're going at each other. They're wailing away on each other. That was pretty good.
I think it's great.
When I live, and that's what my father said. He goes, "I'll always remember," because we saw that in Calgary, one of the ones in Calgary, and when I came out of the parking lot of the movie theater, just because there's so many car chases, he goes, "I don't know what you were thinking, son," because I was like. I'm eternally 8 years old. I'm sorry. Then I saw myself as that. Before we get to the bottom of the hour, Edwin Encarnacion. People just like saying Encarnacion.
Oh, yes.
They like saying it. But you know what's even better? When he plays on your team. Because whatever that money was worth, I think it was fair value for a guy whose back must hurt for everything he did for carrying that team on his back for all these years in Toronto, and he's still getting it done. He's still a money player, and you know what? I think people still like Double E. Here he is last night with Cleveland doing what he does best. It's not a home run, but he still got it done. Property of Major League Baseball and Major League Baseball Advanced Media.
This season, and he laces one in the left field. Wasn't at bat by Encarnacion. Two more runs come in. And that's why you go out and pay $60 million for 3 years for an Edwin Encarnacion. And that'll be it for Bud Norris, who did not have it tonight.
Bud Norris. Remember Bud Norris used to...
Oh, Bud.
Bud Norris used to call up the show and go, hey, guys, well, how's it going? Are you having a good season? I don't know. I've never pitched before. This is the first time I tried it. It's going really well. Bud Norris.
Great name, too, eh?
Okay, so we're going to try. I know what you're saying. Mike, don't do it. The magic of
Yeah, we're going live, man.
Skype.
Let's do it.
It's I just programmed it in.
Toronto Maple Leafs, by the way, fall to the Ottawa Senators on back-to-back nights. Preseason doesn't really matter, does it?
Hello.
Justin Bourne, this is Mike Richards. You could call me Raw Mike Richards, but that'd be weird for our first time talking to each other on the phone.
Hello, Mike Richards. How are you?
How you doing, buddy? You know, we just started talking, and you must get this all the time, man, but we started talking about Jason Bourne, and I don't know how many times in your life people are talking about it, and you're like, okay, guys, I get it. The last name is the same. How often have you had to put up with that garbage?
A ton, but, you know, I'm awfully grateful. I'm grateful that my name was on some cool movies because, you know, it could have been something really weird. At least the Bourne movies are good, and it helps me tell people how to spell my name when I'm making reservations. So I don't complain.
Very good. Justin, great to have you on the show because, you know, when it comes to this hockey season, and I got to be honest, there's questions with personnel that I certainly would have. There are adjustments with coaching and certain teams that I think that could be elite. I never thought I'd be talking about the face-off circle and what's happening with face-offs. It was just something I guess I don't know if I just glossed over it. I wasn't paying attention. But do you think, and maybe you have a better understanding of it being, the former video coach for the Marlies, what is it that the league is trying to accomplish with this rule change?
Well, I think last season in particular, I know being with the Marlies, one thing that we looked at when we were playing Syracuse was a particular way, a couple of their centermen played off face-offs. You know, the way that they cheated in order to get a leg up, and in turn, they were winning a huge number of face-offs against us. And you remember going through video and figuring out how we're trying to, you know, how we can counteract this. And I think the point is that you shouldn't have to counteract it. The refs shouldn't have been letting these guys get their feet into the circle. They shouldn't have let them, cheat as much as they did. So they're kind of in a weird situation where I don't think they wanted to make these preseason games look like they have been, which has been, come on. I mean, it's been painful to watch with all these penalties. But I think this is just sort of them giving the chain a jerk and trying to get things back to a little bit more reasonable level.
Justin Bourne joining us on the line. He's a senior NHL columnist for The Athletic. Justin, the actual face-off itself. Now we're seeing a lot this in preseason. We see this with a lot of sports. They'll do something in the preseason, but then come the regular season, something will change. When we drop the puck in Winnipeg between the Leafs and the Winnipeg Jets on opening night, are the face-off rules going to be different at that time?
They have to be. You cannot play a hockey game like that. I think to the Connor Brown penalty from last night, I mean, he might have been over the line by a couple inches. It's painful right now, and I don't think they intend to ice painful product. I think, like I said, this is a bit of a chain jerk. This is the, hey, just so you guys know, we're serious about this time, but I don't see any way they continue to call it like they have been. It's tough to watch. Well,
and then the other change that's going to be, I think, really difficult. I mean, you've played at a lot of levels of hockey, a lot of higher levels of hockey, and when a guy's in front of you, even let's say you've got both hands on the stick, there's a tap that goes on to let them know they're there, even if you're chasing them down the ice. That tapping now, is that technically a slash, and are you going to the box?
For me, I don't hate kind of giving a whack lower on the stick. It's I think it's a manner of defending, a manner of checking, but I understand that they're concerned about players' hands, and that to me is what you should call. Make that a major penalty, hacking on the hands if you want, but let guys still defend with their stick. It is a pretty significant change, and frankly, as I was a forward, and I'm pro offense, and I like watching goals. I think this is good for the game overall, even though I think it's maybe a little bit of an overreaction. I think it'll allow guys more time with the puck, more room, the ability to make a few more plays. So I get what they're going for here at the very least.
Justin, yesterday in the broadcast, Ray Ferraro was asked a question. I'll ask you the same one because it's kind of on the minds of a lot of Maple Leafs fans when it actually comes down to what is going to be on this roster, defensively speaking. Is Martin Marincin an NHL caliber defenseman, and should he be on this roster when they actually break camp?
Yes, he is, and no, he shouldn't. I think that Marincin is a guy that has all the tools in terms of he's rangy and he's pretty smart with his stick and he can defend. He probably could play at the NHL level, but, he seems to be a guy that struggles with his confidence. And that's something that we don't see all the time as fans. And we tend to think they're all robots. And I just think he doesn't believe in himself right now. Coming into camp, you had Babcock saying, we're excited about Dermott and we're excited about Nielsen and looking forward to these Swedes. And, oh, yeah, Marincin's here too. They gave him no assurances, and I don't think that helped his headspace out very much. And God, seeing him in that first preseason game, there were some moments that just you didn't feel very comfortable watching. I almost felt bad for him. And then after the game, Babcock comes out and says the only two players he liked were Dermott and Rosen. So, good luck, Marty, but I don't think he's going to be sticking around.
We're in conversation with Justin Bourne, the senior NHL columnist with The Athletic. And, I think sometimes, Justin, when I look at, what has been done, the massive, unbelievable, massive undertaking that's gone on in the last 2 to 3 years with the Maple Leaf organization as a whole, sometimes I think what gets lost is the importance of the Marlies. I mean, you were the video coach there, but I think just even in proximity, there's so much that I think that people maybe don't understand where, it used to be called you're going down to the farm. Well, now really I think you've got to use that word assigned, because guess what? Sometimes for some players in their progression, it's a very, very good thing. And when that player's only going a couple of blocks down the road instead of like to another province or state, I don't think you can overlook the importance of the Marlies and where they are, including geographically.
It's unbelievable. I could not agree more. And it really blows my mind that other teams don't pay more attention to this. You said, go a couple blocks down the road. There are times at the MasterCard Center there in Etobicoke where, they both have a dressing room in the same building. And if you have an injured player, he can go over to the Leafs side and see their sports science staff and really break things down with some of the best technology, equipment, and personnel there is. In terms of training and educating and just the coaching staffs being on the same page, you're in the same building often, and it's just really easy to keep everything running smoothly. And I think that's shown itself in the past 2 years when Marlies have been called up to the Leafs, and you've seen just how seamlessly they've slotted in. There have been guys that, frankly, are not NHL players, whether it's, no offense to Tobias Lindbergh, but I don't think he's an NHL player. And, he played great for the Leafs. And just everyone knowing the systems, where to be, knowing each other personally and having relationships, it's a huge advantage. And so I don't understand it when I see Vancouver has their farm team in Utica, New York. I'm sure, guys, best of luck to you with that.
No, you know what? Really good point, Justin. Let's talk about some of those borderline NHLers or NHLers maybe playing with the Marlies, because when you look at the foundation of this Maple Leafs roster, especially on the offensive side of things, they are loaded. Because the way I look at this, when they keep their 12 forwards that they'll ice in Winnipeg in that first game and maybe have a spare or two, guys like Kasperi Kapanen, Nikita Shoshnikov, Frederick Gauthier, who's battling an injury right now, I don't see these guys cracking the lineup just because of how strong the Maple Leafs are up front. That's a pretty big positive, isn't it?
It is, and it's unfortunate the way it works out for these guys, like Cappy being waiver eligible. That means they can send him down without another team claiming him, where Josh Levo and actually Soshnikov is as well, but Levo is not. So it's not really a fair fight going into training camp because, Levo has a leg up in that advantage. But like you said, those guys are there. Mike's not afraid to overseason guys in the minors, as he puts it. And when Kapanen does eventually get his shot, I have no doubt he'll make some Leafs fans mighty happy. So yeah, the organization's in pretty good shape, particularly up front.
It's interesting, Justin, you use that because I think when you come from that Detroit blueprint where guys like Ken Holland and Jimmy Devellano talk about being overripe, do you think in that sort of philosophical area that the Leafs have followed a similar path to that? I mean, legitimately have backed it up?
Yeah, I think in the past they haven't had the opportunity to act that way just because they didn't have the NHL talent. And they are where they wanted to get to, where, good players are still in the minors and there are battles at the fringes for NHL jobs among actual NHL players. So Yeah, I think they're at a good spot, and they are acting a little bit like Detroit did over the years. I think that speaks a lot to how Mike Babcock likes to fill out his roster.
We're on the line with Justin Bourne, senior NHL columnist for The Athletic, joining us on the program this morning. Let's quickly look at a couple things around the NHL before we say goodbye for now, Justin. The Calder Trophy itself, the top rookie going into this season, there's a lot of candidates out there. One of them I want to speak about just because I've seen him develop in Michigan and now with the Winnipeg Jets, Kyle Connor. Kyle Connor legitimately probably is as a top 5 candidate. Where do you rank him in the first year race as far as new NHLers?
Yeah, I'm really high on him. Our division last year, the AHL North division, wasn't exactly loaded with young talent, and then we played Kyle Connor somewhere in February, and he had 11 goals in the previous 8 games before we saw him. And just watching how he scored his goals, the separation he can get with his speed, and fantastic shot, he can score from the distance. He's a real good hockey player, and that Winnipeg Jets lineup, it's pretty solid. And if he turns out to be a guy who can put up 20+ goals for them, which would not shock me, that team could have a lot of success this year.
Wait a minute. How did we get back to the Winnipeg Jets? What? I got to tell you, Justin, what a surprise coming from this guy across from me I named both of his girls Dale Howardchuk. I don't know how we got back to Winnipeg. Hey, Justin, before I let you go, it's been a lot of fun today, by the way. I really appreciate you joining us here on what has been The Athletic, which has been like unbelievably successful in what they have done in their approach to, let's face it, the world of the internet. But the one question, and I'm sure it's what people love to squabble about in every city, but Toronto's no different. When it comes to the goaltending, we just played a clip of Wayne Gretzky talking about the possibility of a Toronto Maple Leaf, Edmonton Oiler Stanley Cup final. Are we saying at this point that we still feel, and that if you're a Leaf fan, that you still don't have the goalie that takes you to that promised land?
Yeah, I think you feel pretty comfortable with Freddie. He had a bit of a slow start last season, but coming down the stretch, boy, they sure weren't afraid to lean on him. And it's going to be interesting, actually. Their backup situation is what I'm keeping an eye on with Sparks and McElhinney. They both have two-way deals. McElhinney's is one way this year, and Sparks the one after. But if Sparks is, plays like I think he can, I wouldn't be surprised if he found his way into the Leafs bench eventually this season. So that's going to be an interesting one to watch too.
Hey, Justin, thanks so much for joining us here this morning. Really appreciate the time, and hopefully we'll get a chance to talk to you again. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, thank you guys. Appreciate you having me.
That is Justin Bourne joining us. He is the senior NHL columnist with The Athletic, which now has, you can't say offices. In the day you would say an office, but they're all over the place now.
Yeah, they are. They're building so much. You sit there and you're online, and all of a sudden there's like the Athletic San Francisco chapter, the Athletic Edmonton chapter, Vancouver, Toronto, tons across the United States as well. And you know what? We're lucky to grab a couple of these guys. Hopefully in the next couple of weeks we're going to have maybe a James Myrtle on or somebody like that.
Yeah, that'd be great.
And talk some more NHL hockey, as we are only, doing the math really quick, 2 weeks away, 14 days, 15 days away from puck drop.
It goes by so quickly when you think about it. I mean, we complain about the NFL, and we complain how long it takes. Like, it seems like it takes months to play those 4 preseason games.
It does, doesn't it?
It does. It takes forever. It's like when I watch any of those tennis matches, they're like, how many months has this thing been on? This Australian Open, it's just the 4th month of the while. Now we're finally in the 19th round. In Pool F, I'm like, oh, come on, just put Federer. Can we put Federer, Djokovic, or Nadal, or whoever it's going to be? Maybe our kid now. Maybe Dennis gets in there, right? Now, the other thing too is sort of looking at how the preseason has and how quickly it goes by. If you're trying to make the team, Dave, and depending on what that roster looks like, because every team is in a different scenario. So sometimes there's literally 2 spots open that you're really looking at. And that's really all the coaching staff. I mean, forget about the scores, forget about some of the names, as he just mentioned, the names that Mike Babcock had mentioned the other day, just like when he was on our show yesterday. It was him. But Dave, if you're trying to make the team now, this 2 weeks probably seems about 5 minutes. Because for you to catch the eye of whoever that coach is, whatever team it happens to be on, like now you're down to how many shifts you might actually get.
Yeah.
that chance of making the team must seem like that window of opportunity is seconds.
No.
Got to be so quick.
It is, and you have to make the most of what you have with everything. It's interesting because there's some talk already, and you talk about who's going to be playing what, who's not going to be playing what. There's a lot of talk that's saying that maybe, and I know Justin Bourne wrote about this in The Athletic, maybe Austin Matthews should not be playing any exhibition games because they got other people to worry about, and if they hold him back unless he wants to go in there himself, that might be a smart decision for the Maple Leafs.
See, that's tough too because you're also dealing with those players who generally want the ice time.
Yeah.
Very few of these guys are saying, yeah, you know what, I'll sit this one out. They're just not wired that way. But when you've got 34 going up and down the ice, you know, I would think that there's a time where even, I don't know if guys like Lou actually do hold their breath. Maybe he just doesn't. But, you know, I'd like to see it. I think it'd be an interesting meme one day, him holding his breath. But let's be honest, guys like Roast Beef over there. Do you get nervous during the preseason when you take a look at him and he's skating down the ice? Or do you ever think in the back of your mind, maybe he shouldn't be playing on this shift? Maybe this is one shift too many.
No,
Good answer.
I don't get worried
I
when
don't
it
care,
comes
Mike.
to stuff like that.
He's not my friend. Hey, I wish he was my friend. I send him letters.
No, the thing when it comes to ice time in the NHL preseason, it's the reason I value this preseason over, like, say, the NFL or anything, because Matthews.
Because guys play. You're right. Guys
is
play.
Going out and playing a regular shift.
Like, would you play Sidney Crosby if you're Pittsburgh in the preseason?
No, I wouldn't. And when I'm looking at this Leafs roster, if you want to make the comparison, not to say that they're the same player
Right.
because they clearly aren't, but how often do you have to run out Patrick Marleau? You don't. The guy's 37
that's what
years old. You don't put him out there. He's a borderline Hall of Famer, and you know, you're so fortunate to have him sign the contract with the Maple Leafs and leave basically everything he's had the last 2 decades in a gorgeous place like San Jose. I don't know how fast I'd be leaving San Jose if I'm that age and I have everything going for me in California.
Well, when you talk to Jeremy Roenick, well, we've had JR on, and I said, you know, so of the places you've played, and he goes, I'll stop you right there. It's San Jose.
See? Exactly.
He goes, Richie, the wine, the wineries, the food, just the whole thing. Because I got to admit, that sounds awfully good to me. San Jose would be a pretty great place to. And you know what? For what it's worth, the fans are more knowledgeable. If you haven't been there, you know, you got to give them a little more credit probably. Like when they first, I heard from guys who'd go down to the games. And so they'd go, offside. You know, like they're like, because they just didn't know. And then people would ask questions and not know what it was. They'd clap. You know, you just didn't really know. That's not the case now.
No.
It's not the case now.
And I've been to that building, the HP Pavilion. It is loud. It is like massively loud. And I'm sorry, it's louder than this place.
Well,
by far. Okay, most places are, but still.
Yeah.
It's and just the way they actually have the building, it sounded like a Canadian-based city out west. It sounded like a Calgary, an Edmonton, a Winnipeg.
Do you think
like
Edmonton's the loudest building in the league?
Ooh.
Because I mean, look, those
it's up there.
Once those mullets get going, man,
yeah,
it's like Lord of the Flies. Like it gets weird.
It is, and you know what? The argument will be saying, you know, there's not much going on out there. That's not the point of it. It's they
and Western Canada to a degree. I would say, as a rule, in anything they do, including football.
Yeah. They go full out.
Yeah.
They go full out. They go to the game to enjoy it. They don't go to the game in suits and ties. They don't leave their office job at the bank managing it and going down and have to act proper. Because a lot of times when I've covered games here, when I've covered games in Ottawa, there's a sense of I can't overdo it while in Western Canada. You're encouraged to overdo it.
Yeah.
And this is a night out.
Now people are always going to make that argument about they can't afford it. Now, ticket prices aren't free out there either. It's just the mentality of it. It's why they will root for the local like junior team. They'll go to a WHL game.
Correct.
Right? And they don't really, and this is what I like about them, and don't get me wrong, but this is how it's a little American in its philosophy. And in the States it's like this. Whatever that local team is, at whatever the various levels are. And in high school, you have single and double A and triple A. But you still go, not because you think it's the best of those leagues. You go because you support the actual sport. So I don't need to only go to a professional game. I can go to a single A basketball tournament in Florida and walk in there and see it packed and people going crazy. And you're never going to hear this. Well, it's only single A. They don't talk like that.
Bingo.
And in Western Canada, they don't talk like that. So they'll go to you can go to an AJHL game. And by the way, players come from that.
Yeah.
They do.
Honestly, look at the resumes.
It's crazy. What's that, Russell?
4th overall pick from this past draft, Cale Makar, was
Yeah,
AJHL.
exactly. And look, I'm not saying they play at the Saddle Dome where there's 19,000 people screaming, but it's just sort of the difference. And I think that it's a cultural thing. So here in Toronto, where the money is, it just is, and I would think the highest prices. I don't think Vancouver's more
it's right
expensive,
up there, yeah.
but it's got to be pretty close. That it's just they go to the Platinum Lounge, they go underneath to the Carvery and get their roast beef and their Chardonnay, and then when they're done that's why, in the first period, the Platinums are all empty.
Bingo.
It's just what has been built in. And that's why when people say the real fans don't get to go, the real fans can't afford it.
No.
And the guys who can't afford it, they don't have that kind of passion that you guys who can't get in.
Exactly.
So if the building's not that full like it wasn't last night, would you pay full freight to see that game last night?
No.
How do you justify that? Then and seeing the goaltending that you're going to see the kinds of things that the coaching staff wants to see. I get it from their standpoint, but I'm not just like NFL preseason. It's not like you're getting a break on the tickets, Dave. Like, are you going to go to a preseason game for the Jets?
No.
When you're out there and going, holy shit, I think that one player's a lady. Like it just doesn't seem worth it. It really doesn't.
Want to go through some early numbers? Because I know we want to get into some NFL chat.
Yes,
There's a beauty on Thursday night between the Rams and the 49ers.
Okay, let's get to
Woohoo!
Let's see. I'm going to nice try commercial. Trying to come on when I'm playing the music. Didn't work. Here we go. Let's try the numbers coming up in the National Football League with Dave Bastel.
God, the intros on this show are getting better and better. I have to admit that. I like the number actually right now because it's under that field goal mark. The Rams are 2.5-point favorites in San Francisco. I got a feeling this could be a double-digit win for the Rams, so I'll take the 2.5 right now and give it away.
Nice. What else do you got? Because I don't have any numbers in front of me at all.
No. Okay.
I have not done the numbers yet.
Okay. Well, we have our first London game, so be
Do
sure.
you like those?
You know what? I only like them because it is something to watch before I get ready to watch 1 o'clock.
We like it because of when it's played, but
Yes.
I don't like the London games.
No, not at all. And you know what's funny? They have the London game similar to what you see on Thursday night, and this is no exception. Baltimore, Jacksonville.
Oh,
Doesn't that sound like a Thursday night game?
Yeah, you're taking that under.
Yeah, you're taking the under, and right now Baltimore favored by 4 points. Elsewhere, this is my game of the week.
Is that Wembley too? Are they playing at Wembley?
They are playing in Wembley. Yes, they are. My game of the week happens at 1 o'clock in Detroit City. It is Atlanta, 3-point favorites against the Detroit Lions.
That's going to be a good game. I actually kind of intrigued by that.
I'm cautiously looking at Lions plus the points in that one.
Yeah, that's interesting.
So we got
because tomorrow is the actual Victor Newman passionate picks.
Yeah, we're not going to get into any numbers right now. We can't be doing that.
No.
And one game that might be, in particular for a guest that's actually, I saw him walk through our studio here, Houston visiting New England.
Oh.
And New England 13-point favorites. This is a matchup of
13 points.
Yeah, last year's divisional game where the Patriots actually beat the Texans, but a lot of people thought, considering how poorly the Texans actually played, they may have given the Patriots more of a battle in that one. Some people thought the Texans should have actually won.
Well, I think as he makes his way in here, this is something I understand that he's very excited about for someone who doesn't get that excited. And I think he's starting a new career as a comedian.
Well,
that's Bill Belichick. And so what is he calling it?
Wow, I don't know what he's calling it, but you know what? We're so happy to have
the Bill Belichick.
The Bill Belichick Comedy Hour?
Comedy
Tour?
Comedy Corner.
Okay, well, hey, you know what? We're really happy to welcome arguably the greatest head coach in NFL history, maybe the greatest, head coach of sports. But he's trying something different today, and we welcome Bill Belichick to the show. Bill, Let's try this thing out. Let's get this going. We look forward to your comedy findings.
Thanks for having me. I'd like to do a couple of jokes.
Fire away.
Pretty funny. What time did the man go to the dentist?
I don't know. What time did he go to the dentist?
2:30.
Tooth
2:30.
Oh, okay, yeah. That's not bad.
No, it's the execution wasn't great. All right, here's joke number 2.
Okay, we're anxiously waiting for it. This is great. The crowd's ready.
Okay. Well, you've heard of lifesavers?
Yes, I have.
Did you hear about the guy who invented lifesavers?
I have not.
He made a mint.
He made a mint. That's pretty good,
okay,
Bill.
Here's joke number 3.
Okay, joke number 3.
The grocery store clerk asked if I'd like my milk in a bag, and I said, no, just leave it in the carton. That's good. Bill, can I ask you about the Texans and the rookie quarterback that you're going to face on Sunday? I can't talk about that, but we're on to Houston.
Bill.
Uh-oh. Fart.
Bill Belichick, ladies and gentlemen. And again, New England 13-point favorites.
Wow, that was...
Totals at 44. So considering that New England's missing a lot of weapons and Houston does not have anything on offense, you might be leaning on the under, but that's just me. More picks tomorrow.
Oh, there are going to be a lot of picks tomorrow. How do I stop that music? How do I? Oh, there I go. That's Bill Belichick. I'm in Comedy Corner. This is great stuff. Is it me or does this establishment, the Pacific Junction, have 275 staff?
I'm going to say 375 staff.
Because it just seems like every day
There's
new people.
There's a new person, yeah.
New people. Now, it could be she's a lovely girl. I can see she's probably not listening to us, but she could literally be stealing right now, and I don't think anyone. No. She'd have a camera out there. I think that's exactly what should be happening. Also, when we take a look at okay, here's something good for you, by the way. This is just before we close here, and people are like, but what about the FIBA basketball? So they called it Eurobasket, but this is all the top 24 countries in Europe. So if I say who's winning that tournament?
Greece.
You're
Serbia.
probably not saying Greece. Sorry, Vicky, but I'm going to say, it could be Spain,
sure,
Serbia, Lithuania, maybe. All these tough teams. I don't know if Turkey was in there. I'm not sure. It was Slovenia, Dave. The Slovenians who win. So if you go, so what's that say? Slovenia had the gold, Serbia silver, and Spain was a third.
Wow.
Now that's where that Luka Doncic, they think that this kid is going to be one of the top. I think wasn't Goran playing on that team too? Who was it? Dragic, I think, actually played on this team. They have, as a country, never won it. So here's a very emotional end of the game in the Eurobasket 2017. This is, once again, property of FIBA, but this is pretty emotional if you're Slovenian.
Ko so bile nekatere prejšnje, pa se nam dogaja tale pravljica v Istanbulu. Ni šlo, nov skok Randolfa in potem Blažič, še 8 sekund, 7 sekund, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, nič! Slovenija je evropski prvak! Slovenija je najboljša v Evropi! Slovenija je pokorila košarkarsko Evropo! Vse velikane evropske košarke.
And there you have it. You see a lot of the Serbs crying there.
That's not very nice.
They're holding each other and. Okay, that's not very. Okay, now the Serbs are getting mad. I dated a Serbian girl, so.
And how did that go?
It's pretty intense.
Okay.
I remember at one point hiding under the bed as she had put her hand through where you drop the mail through the door.
Yep.
Michael, I know you're in there. Don't be hiding from me. Go away, no one's home. Oh, yeah. Gorgeous girl, but wow. Do we want to play the most disturbing? Not this one. This is actually pretty funny. I can say that. Do you like ventriloquists? Do you like the dolls and stuff?
No, I think it's kind of weird.
I think it's okay. There's nothing weirder as we end the show.
Yeah,
You know, it's not going to be one of my shows unless people look at it and go, "What the f was that you just played?" Okay, this is what I call weird God show. What did I call it? Weird God puppet show. This is from the religious right back in the 80s, and they thought this was appropriate. When you see what they call the dolls, by the way, one of them I think they call, what do they call it? Black boy, black doll. And when you see what the mouth is saying and what this freak who probably has his is working the puppets, get a load of the weirdest God puppet show ever. Look at that.
The Junior Christian Science Bible Lesson Program, where all are accepted and none are rejected. God's infinite power permeates is our divine mind to obey and adore our love for one another.
Sure.
And all races of people. This bread of life, truth and love, conforms our thoughts and actions to say no to dope, smoking and drinking, and any kind of racism. And from the Bible,
like this isn't.
But the souls of the righteous are in the hand of God, and no torment will ever touch them. And from Prose Works by Mary Baker Eddy.
Look at the head turning, like that's supposed to be like a natural movement.
That's how I talk.
Let's open this healing service with singing.
Okay.
The Comforter 2, and let's start with the music.
Okay, watch this music. Watch this. Watch the singing. This gets really weird. It's supposed to be the same guy. Listen to the canned music. No, you have to realize
Be still and know that He is God, and share the Lord's
he's on his.
Prayer
That's a short song.
with a spiritual interpretation.
This white guy's on his knees, probably about 55 years old, thinking this is good. But watch what happens. Watch what comes into the. See, he's
Our Father, which art in heaven.
Okay, why did he change his voice?
Father, Mother, God, all harmonious. Hallowed be thy name.
Why is his voice? Why is he talking like? Okay, he's Prince now. What happened?
Thy kingdom is come.
Oh, of course, the Martian Christians.
Let us continue this healing service with the second song, Mother's Evening Prayer.
No, you can't.
The words are by the discoverer and founder of Christian Science, Mary Baker
Christian
Eddy,
Science, sure.
And let's start with the music.
No, the Martian seems actually he's pretty good. He's doing it's excellent.
Martian might be able to get his own show.
So now he's got to find his cassette player.
Ready, set, go.
What?
Ready, set, go with the next song.
Because the song's not ready. The song's not ready.
Did Beef Stew edit this or what?
Look at the Martian singing too. Okay. This just the population of the church. You can get rid of this. That is just. The population of the church just went down. The Pope just quit over that. Yeah, congratulations. There's some converts right there.
That's some good stuff.
You know, they have comments. Someone said, "What's the Islamic one look like?" Okay, that's enough of that because we actually tomorrow have yet again another huge show.
What?
A real announcement, a real cool one for us.
Your best friends. Yep.
At the minute announcements,
it's time.
Yeah. That I like to make. There's still the big one. Come on, let me do it. You know you want me to. Justin Bourne did a awesome job, I thought, from The Athletic here today, talking about a lot of stuff Leaf-related, but also the NHL, what we've seen so far, including the weirdness of the face-off circle and how long are they going to keep it, and the slashing penalties. Otherwise, I don't know how many power plays you're going to see during the season. It won't last. There's no way. It doesn't make any sense. Join us tomorrow, Passionate Picks, as you know, and also at least one announcement that I know of that I can do.
Yes.
Remember to subscribe. I see you doing it. Keep going. We appreciate your love. Just like that puppet said. Black doll.